Okay, hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining Trail International and ForwardKeys for today's webinar. We have the most up-to-date flight booking and traveler sentiment data to share with you today, just in time for China's upcoming May Labor Day holiday and the start of the summer travel season. My name is Sienna Perulis-Cook and I'm Dragon Trail's Director of Marketing and Communications based in the UK. Joining me today from Dragon Trail's Beijing office is our research analyst, Yelinir Kaderbiek. And we're also very pleased to have with us today ForwardKeys China market expert, Nancy Dai, joining us from Xiamen. On the agenda today, we're going to start with a brief update on the latest in Chinese travel rules and some top-line numbers for Q1 2023. I'll then turn over to Nancy to present the data from ForwardKeys on Chinese flight bookings, international flight capacity, and traveler profiles. Then Nu and I will reveal the results of Dragon Trail's latest Chinese traveler sentiment report, which is based on a survey conducted just a few weeks ago. At the end of the webinar, all three of us will be available to take your questions in a live Q&A session. Please do feel free to send in questions at any point during the webinar using the Q&A button on your Zoom control panel, and we'll aim to answer as many as we can at the end of the session. We will be recording today's webinar and we'll be following up with an email to all of you later today with a link to that recording, as well as all of the webinar slides from today. So you'll have all of the materials from today's presentation for your own future reference or to share with colleagues. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick introduction to Dragon Trail International for any of you who might not know us. We are a marketing solutions company headquartered in Beijing with offices in Shanghai, Xi'an, and London. Our work focuses on B2B and B2C marketing for Chinese outbound tourism, and we're proud to work with leading tourism brands all around the world, including destinations, airlines, attractions, and hotels, and others to help them attract the Chinese outbound tourism market. Our services include digital marketing, events, research and strategy consulting, and market representation services. You can find more information about the services we provide, case studies of our work, and the clients that we work with on our website, www.dragontrail.com. Our research arm, Dragon Trail Research, was founded in 2019. And in addition to the Chinese traveler sentiment surveys that we've been putting out over the last 3 years, we also offer research services to clients, including bespoke surveys, focus groups, travel trade insights, and more. So let's start with a recap of what's going on lately in Chinese travel. The last month has been a little bit less dramatic than the end of 2022 or the first couple of months of this year in terms of changing policies, but there have been some updates and it's good if we're all on the same page with those. So the latest news came out yesterday, so this is very fresh. So starting from Saturday, any inbound travelers to China no longer need to take a PCR test. Instead, they can take an antigen test within 48 hours of departure, and airlines will no longer be required to check these test results before boarding or check-in. So this is just one more step that's making it a little bit easier to enter China and for Chinese travelers to get home. Probably the biggest change in March was China's updated inbound travel policy for international travelers, for foreign citizens. So tourism visas to China had not been issued for 3 years, but as of mid-March, foreigners can now apply for any kind of visa to visit China for any reason, including tourism. Also, starting from mid-March, if you had a previously issued multi-entry 10-year visa, which had been, the validity was suspended during COVID, those visas are now valid for use once more. And a number of visa-free travel policies have gone back into effect, such as visa-free travel to Hainan for foreign citizens. Then starting from the end of March, Chinese travel agencies and tour operators can once again start selling and running group tours and travel packages for international inbound travel. So let's turn now to outbound travel, which is our focus of the webinar today. After a 3-year suspension, Chinese travel agencies were permitted to start selling outbound group and package travel starting from the 6th of February. This was a pilot program that started with a list of 20 countries all around the world. And then in mid-March, a second list of countries, of 40 countries was added to that. So now there are a total of 60 countries to which Chinese travelers can go as part of a group tour, or where they can buy a travel package that includes, for instance, a hotel and a flight booking together. As you can see from the list here, there are countries all around the world represented on the list, and the updated list in March especially increased the number of countries in Europe and Africa. Now, looking at the policies of destination countries regarding travelers from China, by mid-March, almost all countries had dropped any additional COVID testing requirements or other restrictions on travelers from China, with the UK finally ending this requirement on the 5th of April. These additional restrictions on travelers from China, which were enacted at the beginning of January when China reopened, they did receive a lot of attention in China, with a fair bit of online anger, especially in the cases of Japan and South Korea. It's also likely that the presence or absence of these restrictions directly impacted the selection of countries for that initial group outbound and package tour list. But as we will see from our survey results later on, it doesn't look like the restrictions have had a major impact on travelers' destination choice, so this should come as a relief. Last week, China's National Immigration Authority released their official Q1 data. In the first quarter of the year, there were 65 million border crossings, around half of which were residents of mainland China, and most of the others were residents of Hong Kong, Macau, or Taiwan. This number represents a 116% increase year on year, and comparing it to pre-pandemic levels, it's around 38% of 2019's volume. During the same period, China issued more than 5 million regular passports, which was an increase of more than 1,000%, and also issued more than 19 million permits for travel to Hong Kong and Macau. We are just a few days away now from China's first long national holiday period since Chinese New Year in January. Starting from Saturday, the 5-day Labor Day holiday will last through Wednesday, with a 9-day break for those who take annual leave on Thursday and Friday. It's all set to be a very major domestic travel period, with numbers exceeding pre-pandemic levels. Ctrip has reported that searches for domestic hotels has been double 2019's volume, and flight searches at 110%. Another major OTA, Fliggy, has reported that bookings for flights, hotels, group tours, and attractions have all surpassed 2019 levels. So domestically, Chinese tourism has fully recovered once again. Outbound travel, on the other hand, is recovering at a slower pace so far. So to find out more about that, let's turn over to Nancy at ForwardKeys.
Thanks, Sienna. Share my screen. Yes, Sienna, please allow me to share the screen. Yeah, okay, so thanks, Sienna. I'm Nancy, the Chinese expert at ForwardKeys. I'm thrilled to be here today, and let's get started. A few words about ForwardKeys and the data we will be using in this presentation. We are a B2B travel analytics company specializing in air travel. We use extensive data to help our customers better understand travel demand and trends in real time. And in today's presentation, we will be using two key data sets to look into the future of travel. That's issued air tickets and seat capacity. Okay. To start off, I would like to share the overview of the Chinese outbound travel trend. In Q2, Chinese international travel bookings are 64% lower than pre-pandemic levels. The Asia-Pacific region has the largest share of bookings, representing 63%. And there has been a faster recovery for Chinese travel to this region, with a 67% decrease compared to a much steeper decline of 81% in Q1. The Middle East and Africa had made the most recovery, although they only account for 3% and 2% of total bookings for Chinese outbound travel, respectively. Europe and Americas have both slightly improved, reaching around 30% of recovery in Q2. So after examining the most resilient destinations, we discovered that 7 out of the top 10 destinations are included on the list of locations where travel agencies are allowed to organize group tours. Additionally, these destinations have relaxed visa regulations for Chinese travelers, including visa on arrival or e-visa options. Macau has experienced the most recovery, with bookings nearly reaching 2019's level. And bookings to UAE, Singapore, and Hong Kong have reached over 50% of their pre-pandemic levels. And the UK and Australia are the most recovered long-haul destinations, driven by business travel for the time being. So now that long-haul travel has picked up again, is there a possibility that it will reduce interest in domestic tourism? And what are the consequences of this for the upcoming Labor Day holiday? So as Sienna mentioned before, the Labor Day holiday this year is a 5-day holiday with 1st of May falling on Monday. And additionally, taking 2 extra days off on 4th of May and 5th of May could extend the holiday to a 9-day stretch. And travel during the upcoming Labor Day holiday appears to be positive, with the busiest travel day expected to be on Friday, that's 28th of April, the day preceding the start of the holiday on 29th of April. Bookings for international departures on 28th of April have reached 79% of 2019's level, while domestic travel has recovered by 233%. However, it should be noted that this increase is partly attributed to the fact that in 2019, the holiday began on 1st of May, making the previous Friday a standalone. Okay. So overall, issued flight bookings for Labor Day domestic travel is 10% ahead of 2019's level. Chengdu and Chongqing, 2 urban cities located in southwest China that also serve as a gateway to nature scenery, have experienced a notable rise in popularity with a 59% and 22% increase, respectively. Meanwhile, Haikou and Sanya, 2 popular destinations known for their salmon and sea and also duty-free shopping, have also seen a surge in demand with the 50% and 26% growth, respectively. And urban and cultural-rich destinations such as Beijing, Hangzhou, and Changsha are growing in popularity, with growth rates exceeding 10%. And Shenzhen, which serves as a gateway for mainland Chinese to cross the border into Hong Kong, is expected to experience a 12% increase in demand during the Labor Day holiday. And when examining the most popular outbound destinations that have bounced back, Macau remains a favorite in Asia, with an 11% increase from 2019. Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia, which serves as the main gateway to Southern Sea Bali, is currently 9% ahead of the 2019 Labor Day holiday bookings. Beautiful Malay secures the fourth spot on the list with the 84% recovery, while Phuket, another destination known for its sunny beaches, is also at the top list with the 53% recovery. Okay, and then Chinese travelers can easily apply for a travel permit to Macau and Hong Kong and other international destinations on this Asia list are friendly to Chinese travelers as they provide visa-free or visa-on-arrival options. And outside Asia, Cairo and Dubai are particularly being more favored. The UAE and Egypt are part of the approved group tour destination list and have close ties with China through its One Belt, One Road initiative. Regarding accessibility, flight capacity from China to Egypt has increased by 10% in Q2 compared to the same period in 2019. And this is thanks to the additional seat capacity provided by both Egypt Air and Sichuan Airlines. The recovery of flight capacity to the UAE has reached 62%, largely due to Chinese airlines who offer seat capacity nearly at the same level as before the pandemic. And then both Egypt and UAE provide visa-on-arrival options for Chinese travelers. So considering that the visa application process now takes considerably longer than the pre-pandemic period, making the visa waiver is a potentially significant game changer. And after looking into the travel demand, let's check out the supply side. Okay, specifically, how are airlines increasing their seat capacity in response to Chinese reopening? As the summer season for the airline industry kicks off on 26th of March, Chinese outbound travel capacity has increased. The Africa and Middle East is expected to experience the largest growth with a 70% increase in Q2, although it currently only accounts for 6% of total international capacity from China. The UAE is the most well-connected destination in the region, holding a 44% share, while the seats of number between China and Kenya has doubled since 2019, led by Kenya Airways. The Asia-Pacific region currently has the largest share at 81%, with a recovery of 42% in Q2. Thailand, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Japan are the best connected destination with China. Meanwhile, Chinese airlines are driving the seat capacity recovery to Europe as European airlines face some challenges such as longer flights due to the closure of Russian airspace and constraints on airport hubs and staffing. On the other hand, capacity to the Americas in Q2 is expected to recover only 10% of pre-pandemic seats due to the US is being a major destination and many airlines have yet to restore their capacity in the China-US market. So due to the current absence of direct flights between China and the US, there's a sharp 92% drop in the number of travelers flying directly from China to the US compared to the pre-pandemic levels, while the decrease for those traveling indirectly was only 40%. And Seoul, Incheon, and Hong Kong have improved their hub capabilities in connecting travelers between these two countries. Chinese travelers transiting through Incheon to the US increased significantly by 130%, and via Hong Kong by 3%. And analyzing hub performance in the China-Europe airline market reveals that the busiest hubs are Amsterdam, Dubai, Frankfurt, Istanbul, and Incheon. So Incheon has gained popularity by achieving an impressive 375% increase in connecting travelers compared to 2019 levels. The majority of Chinese passengers who use Seoul Incheon as a connecting hub are mostly traveling to France and the UK in Europe, as direct capacity from China to these two destinations have decreased by 82% and 58% respectively. Okay. So in last section, let's see if Chinese travelers' booking habits have undergone any changes after 3 years. Looking at bookings in the first half of the year for departures from China, travel for both individuals and couples account for 38% and 27% of all outbound travelers. That's an increase of 11 percentage points and 4 percentage points on 2019 levels, respectively. And our data shows that longer stays of 2 weeks or more have recovered faster than short and medium length trips. Its shares increased from 13% in 2019 to 20% this year. So longer stays may lead to a higher demand for accommodation options such as apartment, homestays, and villas. So destinations that have a diverse range of accommodation options that cater to different preferences and budgets are likely to be more attractive. Okay, so some takeaways before I hand the floor over. First, Chinese outbound travel is expected to improve in Q2, with destinations that have relaxed entry rules expected to recover faster. Second, bookings for domestic flights during the upcoming Labor Day holiday are showing a 10% increase compared to 2019 levels, while outbound travel bookings are around 50% behind. Sun and sea destinations, along with certain niche markets, are becoming increasingly popular. Third, transfer hubs will become a key aspect of Chinese outbound travel recovery, and so in South Korea is considered to be a particularly important gateway. Fourth, there are some changes in Chinese booking pattern. The first to resume traveling are both individuals and couples, and Chinese travelers tend to stay longer at destinations. That's all for my presentation today, and back to you, Sienna.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thanks.
It's very interesting. I was taking lots of notes during your presentation. So just a reminder to everybody, we will be sharing the presentation slides from today's webinar with everybody later today. So yeah, you will receive all of those numbers and things if you didn't get a chance to write everything down this time. So let's get our presentation up. Okay, so now it's time for us to reveal the results of Dragon Traveler Sentiment Survey, and Nunu will get us started with that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nunu, and I'm the research analyst from Dragon Trail. And this is our 8th Chinese Traveler Sentiment Report conducted by Dragon Trail Research. We have done the last one in January when the restriction just got released, and now we would like to see the Chinese travelers' attitudes and behaviors after the big change. This time, the survey was conducted in the beginning of April and includes response from more than 1,000 mainland Chinese travelers who have interest or experience in traveling. Of these, around 40% have previously traveled internationally. The survey sample was controlled to be statistically representative in terms of age and gender, and focuses on respondents in first-tier, new first-tier, and second-tier Chinese cities. So first of all, we and most destination may want to know is, does Chinese traveler plan to travel outside mainland China in 2023? The results indicate that the most travelers are still hesitating and do not have definite outbound travel plans for this year. This includes 26% of all respondents said they hope to travel outbound this year, but haven't booked yet. And 27% are not sure if they would depart before the end of the year. This uncertainty actually can become an opportunity for the destination and travel brands if they conduct good marketing strategies and send the right messages to these travelers. We will also give out our suggestions later in this webinar to better influence these people. So besides, only 5% of all respondents have already traveled outbound mainland China in 2023, and 10% had their outbound trips planned for this year. This number reflects the travelers are not that active and the recovery is a bit slow. But if we look at the whole picture, there are still many limitations from both of the outbound and Chinese sides, and many Chinese travelers just renewed their passports recently, as we mentioned. So the recovery still really takes some time, but that also gives the business some time to get ready. Finally, we found that 1/3, which are around 300 survey respondents, showed negative attitude and decided they won't travel abroad this year. Here, actually, we would also like to mention another survey has done by Dragon Trail recently. It's focused on the Europe market, and it said it showed like 20% respondents are planning to head off to Europe in 2023, and 37% of them will wait until 2024, and 28% of them will wait until 2025. So actually, many travelers seems are waiting, but in the end, they are still willing to go outside. So to know the concerns behind will be really helpful. So to dig out from the traveler side, why these respondents are not ready for an international trip within this year, we had an open question asking about the reasons. As the World Cloud showed, the main concern is about safety. Many travelers feel that outbound destinations are not safe as China. And this includes the political environment of some places doesn't feel that stable, and the locals are not welcoming the Chinese travelers, and some still worry about the COVID risk. Besides, money and time are the other important constrictions that stop the travelers. But since there are not much we can do about these two, decreasing the emotion of worrying about personal safety would be the main job for the industry. We had some suggestions from the travelers themselves based on the focus group Dragon Trail has done recently for another project. Paying attention to the reputation of the destination among Chinese travelers and providing response and solutions for some negative news and presenting welcoming attitudes may change the sentiment of these travelers. It is also important to understand the positive emotion for outbound travel and address them when developing the travel products and communicating with Chinese travelers. So we had another open-end question and asked the Chinese travelers about their expectations towards traveling abroad. And the results reflect that outbound travelers are actually really excited and happy about their outbound trips in 2023. They are looking forward to relaxed, fun, and free, as well as comfortable and safe trips. Appealing factors such as enjoying the beautiful views, seeing the world and different cultures, eating local food, experiencing fresh and new stuffs are mentioned by many respondents. Notably, worrying about too many travelers may cause crowds and influence the travel experience came up most as the main concern. And so we just mentioned some factors attract travelers to travel abroad, but to be more specific, we had multiple options questions to know about their main purpose and needs regarding to their next outbound trip. Similar to the results of our previous surveys, travelers ranked local experience as the top reason for going abroad. This includes trying local food, which was the #1 priority, chosen by around 56% of all respondents, and 52% said they wanted to experience local lifestyle. Visiting landmarks such as museums and iconic architectures ranks high as well, with 56%. Beach and sea destination are particularly popular, chosen by around 45% of all respondents. So let's following travelers' consuming experience journey. So we will move on to the next step. What kind of products Chinese travelers would like to choose when they book their international trips? Around 61% of our respondents said they prefer to book a complete package for outbound travel, which includes visas, flights, hotels, tour guides, and transportation. Nearly half, which is around 48%, would be interested in a flight and hotel package. And 1/3 said they would book a tour guide and transportation package together. We can see that all the travelers really prefer to buy a package, and based on the qualitative research Dragon Trail is doing recently, the reasons behind are likely to include convenience, worry-free, feeling safer, saving money, and especially when they travel with elder and young family members, they prefer full and semi-group tour, which includes local transportation. This may bring some real advantage to those 60 countries on the list where outbound group and package travel is allowed now. We definitely would recommend them to grab this opportunity. That's all from my side, and I will hand over to Sienna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nunu. So I'm going to move on to talk about destination preferences now. We asked all survey respondents who said that they would or might travel outbound in 2023 to tell us where they would go. And the top 10 destinations on this list are exactly the same as the top 10 destinations in our January survey, and they're almost the same as the top 10 destinations in our November 2022 survey as well. And actually, the order of the list is almost identical to in the January survey. So strongly in the lead is Hong Kong, which was chosen by more than 20% of survey respondents as the outbound destination that they're planning to go to in 2023. Macau came in second place, and Thailand was the most popular destination beyond Greater China. Japan and South Korea continue to rank high in 4th and 5th place, despite restrictions that were enacted for travelers from China by those countries earlier this year. And when we look at long-haul destinations, France and Australia continue to be the top 2 choices. But I want to get more into all of the survey data for this question because we gave respondents the choice of any destination in the world from a drop-down menu for them to choose when talking about their outbound travel plans for 2023. So we had a total of 689 respondents to answer this question, and altogether they chose 44 destinations all around the world, covering every continent, as you can see here. So it's not surprising that Asia is in the lead. Asian countries and destinations accounted for nearly 75% of the total responses, but we can also see that there's interest in a very diverse list of countries and regions for 2023 travel. 15% of respondents chose countries in Europe, mostly Western Europe. 4.5% chose Oceania, 2.7% North America, 1.3% Latin America, and less than 1% each for the Middle East and Africa. Now, looking beyond this year, where in the world do Chinese travelers intend to go? We asked all survey respondents to rank world regions on a scale of 0 to 5, with 5 being extremely likely to go and 0 being not likely at all. In more good news for Japan and Korea, Northeast Asia was the most popular world region, followed by Europe. So we can see from this question and the previous question about travel in 2023 that looking beyond Asia, Europe really does have a strong appeal for Chinese travelers. Next on the list of regions here for future travel is ever popular Southeast Asia. And then South Asia also ranked well, and that region includes Sri Lanka, the Maldives, and India. Actually, going back to the last question when we asked respondents about their intended travel destination for 2023, the Maldives ranked in 10th place behind Russia. Then on the survey about future outbound travel destination regions, North America and Oceania ranked similarly, and we can see that Latin America, Central Asia, the Middle East, and Antarctica are all niche destinations. But that said, even niche, talking about the Chinese market, can be quite large. Just to take Antarctica as an example, pre-pandemic, China was the second largest source market for visitors to Antarctica, and demand for Chinese travel to Antarctica in 2023 has actually surpassed 2019 levels. So moving away from outbound destinations, in this edition of our Chinese Traveler Sentiment Report, we decided to include a special deep dive for the hospitality sector in order to provide post-pandemic insights for hotels and other accommodation providers. So the first question we asked was where travelers plan to stay on their next outbound trip. Boutique hotels, resorts, and private home sharing accommodations such as Airbnb all ranked high. Then looking at hotels, mid and high-end hotels both have appeal, and we didn't see major differences between 3, 4, and 5-star hotels, as you can see here. However, it is unlikely that you'll find outbound Chinese travelers at hotels of 2 stars and below, as this option was only chosen by 8% of respondents. Then looking at accommodation budget, 45% said that their nightly budget for accommodation was between 500 and 999 renminbi. That is equal to 73 to 145 US dollars. And 30% said that they wanted to keep accommodation costs under 500 renminbi a night, so that's under $73. 17% would budget between 1,000 to 2,000 renminbi per night on accommodation. That's 145 to 290 US dollars. And then only 8% said they would plan to spend 2,000 renminbi or more per night on accommodation. So obviously hotel prices do differ around the world depending on location, but accommodation providers and tour operators can keep these ranges in mind when it comes time to create travel packages or special offers for the Chinese market. Although the Chinese travel market has developed and matured considerably, our survey results indicate that many recommendations for hotels hoping to cater to this market remain similar to years or even decades past. Convenient location for getting to the airport or train station was the most important factor for travelers, with 56% choosing this option. But the second most important factor is Chinese-speaking staff, which was chosen by 51% of survey respondents. Having an electric kettle or hot water provided to the room is also very important for half of survey respondents. And free Wi-Fi is also essential at 48%. Chinese breakfast options are important to nearly 1/3 of travelers. However, Chinese breakfast is not as important as just providing breakfast in general, as this was chosen by 45% as an important factor when choosing a hotel. So that brings us to the end of our survey results. But before we finish up, let's go over 6 takeaways that I think are particularly important for tourism marketers. So first, outbound travel plans for 2023 are still largely undecided. This means that as a destination or other tourism brand, you still have a chance to convince the 26% that do want to travel abroad in 2023, but still haven't booked their travel to choose your destination. And beyond that, there's another 27% of travelers that don't know if they'll travel abroad this year and could still use some convincing. Second, apart from factors that you really can't control, such as people's annual leave or their financial resources, by far the biggest concern holding back Chinese travelers is safety. Safety, stability, and friendliness need to be core messages in both consumer and trade marketing in order to assuage fears about venturing beyond mainland China. Next, food, landmarks, and local experiences are what travelers are most interested in, so make sure these are part of your marketing and product development. And speaking of product development, we see very strong interest in travel packages and even full service products. So keep this in mind when working with Chinese travel trade partners when developing and selling outbound travel. Next, Asia always has been and always will be the leading destination for outbound Chinese travel. But that said, Chinese consumers are interested in traveling all around the world, starting in 2023, and even a very small niche market in China can actually be quite sizable in terms of traveler numbers. And finally, don't forget to provide electric kettles in hotel rooms. Investing in Chinese-speaking staff and Chinese breakfast options will also give you an advantage with this market. So as I mentioned before, we will be sharing today's presentation slides with everyone later today, as well as a link to read and download the full April 2023 Chinese Traveler Sentiment Report. But if you really can't wait a few hours to read it, it is already available on the resources section of the Dragon Trail website, so you can check that out right away. And also on the resources section of the site, you'll find a sentiment reports tab where you can access all of our past sentiment reports. And in addition to these reports, our free online resources include videos, Chinese social media rankings for overseas tourism brands, marketing case studies and guides, and much more. You can sign up for our monthly newsletter for regular updates and future webinar invitations, and also follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for more news and information every week. So thank you very much, everyone, and we are now